That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet, when you could not prove anyone right or wrong.
All the expertise was contained in the people involved with the conversation. I'm Peter.
I'm Cecil, and I hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, that don't sound right, send us a comment. You're one of us.
Listener number one from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Yeah, he's been identified as listener number one.
From Chapel Hill.
From Chapel Hill.
Gotcha.
That's right.
We have had the suggestion that we should start numbering our listeners and issue T-shirts with your listener number. 'Cause we have Hey, Peter.
Hey, Cecil. How's it going?
Good. Welcome back.
Oh, man, it's good to be back with our TDSR family, the community of people wondering what we're saying and if what we're saying is right.
And it's grown a little bit because we've our family met up with Pat,
Okay.
a new listener, old friend but new listener.
All right.
In Africa.
Africa, no kidding.
Right.
Now, where did you see Pat recently?
Well, I didn't see her, but Christy and your daughter and my daughter saw her in Spain.
Oh, yes. Okay, good. Excellent.
Yeah.
I can also report that we picked up another listener also. His name's Patrick. He's listener number one from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Yeah, he's been identified as listener number one.
From Chapel Hill.
From Chapel Hill.
Gotcha.
That's right.
We have had the suggestion that we should start numbering our listeners and issue T-shirts with your listener number. Because we have listener number one.
Someone really wants a T-shirt. That's what it sounds like to me.
That's what it sounds like.
Okay.
We have given T-shirts to our research team of Allie and Sophie.
Yep. Oh, good.
They just came in and I got them up the mountain to them.
Right. Good. And we do have a T-shirt going to our graphic designer who
nice.
designed Emily, and also the subject of hot sauce. We haven't conducted that experiment yet. If people remember about that, but we are planning on doing that before she goes off to college,
which will be soon.
We had lots of graduations this past week, so that was a busy time for everybody. And did you have any guests over for that?
We had a party we had guests over for that, and then we immediately left for a wedding. So we had a very busy day.
So I'm going off script here. Oh wait, there is no script, and that don't sound right. But we part of the party is we were buying balloons.
Yes.
For the party. Mm. And going into the store at Party City, which I'm sure you're familiar with, there's a sign that says there's a helium shortage.
Really?
Now, I think there's been a helium shortage in the past. I remember seeing helium shortages in the past, but there's another one going on right now, evidently.
How can you have a helium shortage?
That said, we were still able to get balloons, so they had a big old tube of helium they were able to fill our balloons up. But it does remind me that the listener number one, Scott, and his daughter had this discussion about helium. And they emailed us a while back, I don't know if you remember.
I do.
About asking and discussing what's the deal with helium. And
so that's what
why would there be a shortage?
I don't know why you would have a shortage of
But my question is, where does it come from?
Helium?
Yes.
Do you know?
I don't.
I've never thought about it.
I have some ideas. I actually talked to a friend of mine who's a scientist, does cancer and diabetes research in the past. So he thinks about scientific things. So we threw some ideas out, but here's some things about helium. It's a noble gas, right?
Yes.
It doesn't react with anything.
No.
So it's not like you can pull it out of a compound.
Right.
Right. There's not like helium dioxide, which I can pull helium out of that molecule and give me a helium atom and condense them and have a helium gas. I can't do that.
Are all the noble gases non-reactive?
They are. That what makes them noble gases.
Because they don't react.
The technical term is all their shells have all the
electrons.
All the electrons in them. They're fully, so they don't react with anything.
All the valence are full.
So where does it come from? And I imagine you better get it quick because it's in the upper atmosphere if you miss out on it.
I don't know where helium comes from.
So I had some thoughts.
I would love to hear what your thoughts are. Do you have like a helium mine?
I had some two thoughts. Well, that's one of them. is that it's trapped. It's one of the elements formed when the Earth was in its creation, when it was first formed and created. It was all the elements were put into the Earth and on the Earth, so there are pockets of helium somewhere,
Right.
and someone has found them. Now I don't know if they go around walking around and breathing, and all of a sudden they start talking about it, and then here's a helium mine.
And that's how they locate.
So I don't know if there's like a helium detector.
Yeah.
My neighbor, the scientist, says it's a byproduct of mining natural gas.
I can see that.
That's all mixed together, and then they can pull it out.
Right.
Which is probably a little bit easier to do than finding a helium mine in the ground. And
I can see the byproduct.
but then the whole idea of the shortage deal. Why is there a
Well,
shortage?
you would think if you had a shortage of helium, you would also have a shortage of natural gas.
You'd think, and I haven't heard any natural gas shortage problems. Have you?
No, but it may be that it's during the mining process and we've got like stores of natural gas, but we don't have stores of helium. So they only pull as much helium as they need when they're in the refining process, and then they don't store it.
Well, could it also be that it's just there's a lot of demand right now? It's the end of the year. You've got graduations.
Weddings.
You've got weddings. Lots of spring events that call for balloons. Was there a big event that caused balloons to be used besides weddings and? Was it like a balloon festival or
I
something?
don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah,
There's been a lot of shortages though, because there's chip shortages and baby formula shortages and.
The peanut butter shortage. Did you know that?
I didn't know there was a peanut butter.
Yeah,
shortage.
there's a huge peanut butter shortage.
I went in to get a screen protector for my new phone.
Screen protector
Yeah,
shortage.
like the piece of glass that goes in there. Couldn't find it.
Shortage.
Screen protector shortage.
I wonder how many of these shortages are real or just fabricated to jack up the price. Now, in all fairness, we're able to get helium. But it makes me think, you pull this helium out of a natural gas.
Right.
How clean is it?
Oh, that's a good question.
And then do you really want to be, those folks that breathe,
Right.
I've been afraid to do it. Breathe it in, make your voice change.
Yeah.
I mean, what else is mixed in that helium?
That's a good question. Have you ever used vermiculite in your garden?
No, I'm not sure I can even spell that word.
So vermiculite is a crushed rock.
Okay.
And it's used in gardening.
All right.
But it has arsenic, or it used to. It was a byproduct of arsenic mining.
Oh, great.
So it had arsenic mixed in.
Yeah.
So if it's a byproduct of natural gas, you would think it would have it wouldn't be pure.
I feel like I saw a video somewhere of someone had some candles going and they had helium balloons around them and they weren't paying attention. And the helium balloon got over the flame, melted through the balloon, and it exploded.
Really?
Right. Now, I wouldn't think a helium in and of itself would explode, but maybe there's some natural gas mixed into it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know because natural gas has no smell and it has no color. You wouldn't know it was mixed in there.
Right.
The natural gas companies throw in a
sulfur,
something in there to make it smell, so you know you have a leak. But if it's just mixed in with helium, it's not going to be there. It'd be interesting to go ahead and light a helium balloon on fire, or recreate what I saw in a video to see if that happens. Because I think we just need to put out a public safety announcement.
Not to light balloons on fire.
Also, don't breathe in the helium to give you the funny voice.
Well, I'm not breathing in the helium anymore after you told me that.
Yeah, well, I was always skeptical. It seemed like
What was in the Hindenburg? Was that helium?
That was hydrogen.
That was a hydrogen.
That was hydrogen. That's why they switched to helium.
But now you said that it could also be flammable.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's according to this one video I saw. I don't know what it was filled with it.
That don't sound right.
Well, I think we've gotten to the bottom of it.
Of the helium mine?
Of the helium.
We need some words of wisdom around helium. All right, so the words of wisdom, I think we created our own words of wisdom this week.
Yeah, now that I think about it, the words of wisdom is don't breathe in helium out of your balloons.
Right.
Because you really don't know what's in those things.
Yeah, I think that's good words of wisdom.
I think those are sound words of wisdom.
Sound words of wisdom. These are actually serious words of wisdom.
I don't think it's controversial. And even if we're wrong, it's like we're not doing anyone any harm.
Right. Yeah, if you're not inhaling a noble gas, you're probably doing okay. There's oxygen's noble, right? No, oxygen's reactive.
No, oxygen's
That's very reactive, so it wouldn't be noble.
Can you
'Cause
name any of the other noble
hydrogen,
gases?
xenon.
And hydrogen's not.
I mean, helium, xenon,
Argon.
neon. It's neon, I guess.
Yeah.
So neon, argon, xenon, helium.
That's all I got.
Yeah. I just looked at the periodic table last week because Camille was interested in interestedness.
I wish I had a poster of the periodic table up for my kids when they were growing up, so
Really?
they would always see it.
That's you can get a shower curtain with periodic table on it.
Why?
Just so you like always see it.
Oh, but going back to the non-reactivity
Yeah.
of helium and how do you make helium?
Right.
You can't synthesize helium either.
Because it's just a single molecule.
Well,
It's not a molecule. It's an
atom.
It's an atom.
When have we ever been able to synthesize an atom?
Atom.
And I think that's one of the next breakthroughs
Be able to
that
synthesize an atom?
we just haven't been able to do, right?
Yeah.
There was a James Bond movie about that, right? They were taking lead and changing it over to gold. I think.
And James Bond?
There was a James Bond movie. I think it was Goldfinger.
No, Goldfinger was.
Was that Fort Knox?
Goldfinger was Fort Knox.
Okay, all right.
Man with the Golden Gun. Was that where he was doing that?
Maybe so, but they figured out a way to change lead into gold. No one's been able.
I'm a pretty big Bond aficionado.
All right.
I might have to call that. Don't sound right.
Well, yeah.
So the only one I think they could have done that on was Man with the Golden Gun.
All right.
But he was an assassin.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it was Man with a Golden Gun.
The one Goldfinger was Fort Knox.
Uh-huh.
And so it'd have to be one of the other ones. We gotta.
I seem to remember that they.
Who was the bad
they were
guy?
harnessing the sun to do it. Maybe
Was it
Gold-
Moonraker?
Maybe it was. Was it GoldenEye?
Wait a minute. Maybe it was GoldenEye. But GoldenEye,
That was Pierce Brosnan.
yeah, it was Pierce Brosnan. They were. But I thought they were using that for a weapon.
Yeah, maybe they were.
I don't remember one where they changed.
I thought there was
gold.
one they were switching lead to gold.
We have to go back and watch all the Bond movies.
Maybe that was a MacGyver or $6 million man.
We got to watch all the Bond movies again now to see if we can find that.
But that's got to be. That's the next.
Right,
it's
synthesizing.
amazing. It's amazing we haven't figured out how to do that, isn't it?
That is amazing. Yeah, that's a good point.
I think we've made some really, really high in the molecular weight on the periodic table, but those are very unstable. They don't last long.
Well, I looked at the periodic table with Camille, like I said,
Yeah.
and there's some stuff on there that I don't remember.
Well, they've created
some stuff.
them, but they have I think they have a half-life of very, very short. They don't last that long.
Yeah.
But okay, fine. You made one that lasts. Make me some gold.
Right.
Make me some helium.
Right.
So I don't have to have the
So I have a
shortage.
shortage of helium.
And it's pure, and I don't have to worry about breathing it in.
Right, you can breathe it in.
I can breathe it in, and it will be safe.
We'll set that as a goal for our TDSR community. Come up with a way to create atoms.
Well, I'm sure someone's working on it.
But doesn't that go against the law of one of the laws of thermodynamics that matter can't be created or destroyed?
Well, if you're just recombining electrons, neutrons, and protons, and
Right.
putting them in the right orbits
To create an atom.
to create your atom,
So you haven't created matter.
isn't that what we're doing?
Right.
Isn't that what they're doing?
I don't know.
Very interesting.
That's interesting now that you've said it.
Uh-huh. There's nuclear forces involved
Yeah.
that you have to overcome.
Oh, there'd be a lot going on there.
Yeah,
And if you did it wrong, I think you could have a very bad reaction.
maybe. I don't
It
know.
depends on what you created.
We haven't been able to do. My guess is that once we figure out fusion,
Yes.
not fission, fusion.
Right.
Once we figure out how to do that, the rest is a piece
They
of
figured that out 20 years ago in a mason jar. You didn't see that?
piece of cake.
It was,
Right,
it was,
no.
it was cold fusion.
This sounds like another episode.
Yeah, a guy in the 80s figured out cold fusion in 2 mason jars, but he couldn't recreate it.
I think I remember hearing
I
about
think
it.
they debunked that pretty soundly. But
Pretty close.
yeah. Well, I think you have come to another end of another. That don't sound right.
That don't sound right. Is it? Is
No.
it that quick?
Yeah, it's probably doesn't seem quick to our listeners.
Yes.
I've been listening to Car Talk, and I feel like we should just go back and steal all of Car Talk's material. They were really good at this.
They were really good. Yeah.
But if you want to write to us, you can write to us at TDSR podcast at gmail.com.
Yep.
And find us on TDSR podcast on Instagram
Great.
and on Facebook.
Perfect.
So
And then in the show notes, we have links to our merchandise. We have some snazzy glasses and T-shirts and
Yeah.
mugs. I'm still my mug, my That Don't Sound Right mug is still a big hit when I'm on a Zoom or Teams meeting
yeah,
at work.
just show it to them.
Someone says something, I take a sip.
Right,
They
right.
know what I'm thinking.
You don't have to say it out loud. So y'all keep talking.
Hey, stay curious.